The museum people were as good as their word. Thomas went at once into the workshop where his buffer beam was soon straightened and a new buffer bolted on. In the workshop was a green engine like Flying Scotsman, but smaller. He was called Green Arrow. My brothers and I were built to run fast goods trains, he said, but we did it so well that they let us pull expresses too in the end. Now I'm the only one of my sort left. Green Arrow was so friendly that when Thomas was mended, he was sorry to leave him. But back at the great railway show, he was thrilled to see instead one of Stepney's brothers, Box Hill, an engine he remembered from the old days. Thomas was moved to a special position. There's no doubt about it, said his driver. You're a star attraction. Is that being a credit to the Fat Controller? Asked Thomas. He was anxious to make up for the parking ticket. One morning, Thomas's driver arrived in great excitement. We're to give rides on the demonstration line, he said. Thomas was delighted. The 3 demonstration lines were different sizes. One was narrower than Thomas's, and the third was used by a very wide engine called Iron Duke. This is broad gauge, he explained. The Great Western Railway used it until about 100 years ago. Thomas wondered if Duck knew about broad gauge. It would be nice to tell him something about the Great Western, he thought. The engines had to take great care because of the many visitors. Thomas was anxious. Some people were not as careful as they should have been. Thomas had never seen such crowds. We must watch out, he told his driver. What would happen if a child got onto the line? Don't you worry, Thomas, replied the driver. There are plenty of good, strong barriers, and we'll take care. But Thomas did worry. He was afraid that in an emergency he might not be able to stop soon enough. Next morning, Thomas felt better. The sun was shining, and he was looking forward to talking to Iron Duke again. He chuntered happily backwards and forwards along the demonstration line all day. Then, nearly at closing time, it happened. Thomas saw something fly through the air and land on the rails in front of him. His driver saw it too. He put the brakes hard on. Beep, 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 whistled Thomas in alarm. I must stop, I must. Thomas shuddered to a halt, and a great cloud of steam leaped noisily from its cylinder cocks. But he couldn't stop before he hit the bundle. It burst. In the crowd, a child, frightened by the steam, cried loudly, I want to go home, Mummy, now! Screamed the child. You noisy great engine, shouted his mother, waving her fist at Thomas. I'm going to see the manager. Oh, dear, thought Thomas. That's not the way to be a credit to the Fat Controller. You did very well, comforted his driver. Thank goodness it was only a lunch pack and not a child on the line. The fireman was inspecting Thomas. Hey, look at this, he shouted. The driver went to see. You damaged your brakes when you stopped suddenly, he told Thomas. No more work until they're fixed, I'm afraid. Never mind. If the people here today have learned that engines can't stop at once, that's a good thing. Thomas hoped they had. The engines were excited. There were to be some special rail tours to the seaside, and no one knew which engine would be chosen to pull them. It ought to be me, observed Mallard. After all, that seaside place helped to pay for my repairs. The others thought someone else should have a chance. Thomas knew he would not be chosen, but he enjoyed listening to the others arguing. He was pleased in the end when it was decided to give the trips to Green Arrow. When Green Arrow returned from the first tour, he said he had never seen so many people. Soon there was talk of putting on extra trains, but this was not possible. All we can do is add extra coaches, they said. But then Green Arrow can't pull a train that heavy on his own. Of course I can, he scoffed. My brothers and I did during the war. Can I help? Asked Thomas. The man in charge stared. I don't see why not, he said. In the morning, Thomas's fireman arrived early. Thomas's fire was lit, and while the warmth crept through his boiler, the fireman made sure all his moving parts were well oiled. Behind, Green Arrow was being prepared too, and when they were both ready, they set off to find their coaches. The station platform was jammed with an admiring crowd, which didn't seem to get any smaller, even after a trainload of people were in their seats. Thomas was coupled in front. He was pleased. He'd like to see where he was going. At the seaside station, Thomas was turned round so that he could go in front again. After a rest, the engine set off once more. A ruined abbey stood at a place where the line curved beside a river. A crowd had gathered to wave and cheer, but Thomas wasn't watching them. Looking ahead, he had seen something strange. "Beep, beep! Stop, stop!" he whistled in alarm. The train was heavy and hard to stop, but they managed it just in time. Now everyone was able to see that, in front of Thomas, the rail near the river was lower than the one on the other side. "The water has undermined the embankment," said the inspector. "I'll go to the signal box and sort things out." Buses came for the passengers, but it was late before the men decided it would be safe to use the other track. Together, the engines pushed the coaches back to a crossover. On his own, Thomas slowly crept past the landslip. Then, very carefully, Green Arrow pulled the empty coaches by, and together they brought the train back to York. A few days later, a party of important-looking people came into the museum. One was the man in charge, and behind him was the Fat Controller. "Oh dear," thought Thomas, "they've come to take me away for frightening that child." But the Fat Controller was smiling. The man in charge held up his hand for silence. "Thomas," said the man in charge, "your controller told us you are a really useful engine. He is right. For saving a nasty accident the other day, we have decided that you should become an honorary member of the National Railway Collection. This special place will remind you of your visit to us. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 cheers for Thomas the Tank Engine! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! The noise nearly raised the roof. "Well done, Thomas," smiled the Fat Controller. "I knew you would be a credit to our railway."